Hello again, fellow YouTubers and fellow Bond fans. Solomon Pleasant here, and 200! We've reached 200 videos. 200, everybody. We did it. What's our next goal? 250? 300? Something like that. Yeah, but 200. We did it. And what more fitting to top off our 200th video than our final James Bond movie review until like 2015, I think, when Bond 24 comes out. And before people even begin to ask, I'm going to address that right away. Unless there is some capability, or maybe it's November 2014, I'm not sure. But whenever the next Bond movie comes out, unless there is some way where I am not able to, I will do my best to be able to review any other Bond films that come after this one. That we're about to review. You read the title. You know which Bond movie I'm reviewing this week. So, let's not hesitate. Let's not waste any time. Let's review our most recent Bond film made, SkyFall. So, SkyFall. I waited for this film. I waited a solid year for this film. And I went to it opening night. The night it was released in theaters, I went to it. And after I was done and I left the theater, I was amazed. That was one of the best theater experiences I ever had. The movie was phenomenal. And now I'm going to talk to you about it. So, starting with story. The story is just so original. I don't think there's really been any other Bond film where M has been threatened. Before I continue, though, spoilers. If you have not seen SkyFall yet, I really should have said this earlier, but if you've not seen SkyFall yet, go see it. Although it's not the first Bond film I recommend for first-time Bond people. If you only watch one, obviously you watch Goldfinger, but this one is like number 3, at least, on the list of Bond films that you need to watch. It's really high up there, because it is that good. Anyway, so for story, I have not seen like any other story where really M is threatened. Again, if you haven't seen this film, go see it. Drop what you're doing and go watch it on Netflix or something. I don't care how you see it, just see it. Anyway. I mean, the story is just so well put together, and granted, I will give it this. A lot of films lately have done what Skyfall did as well. Like, Skyfall looks a lot like the whole scene where the villain gets captured is a lot like the scene from Avengers, and a lot of movies actually felt like that. But I didn't care, because Skyfall is awesome. Everything about the story is just phenomenal. It's well put together, it's well written, it just works on every level. It just does. So for that reason, I give story a star. It just works on all levels. Moving on to scenery. The scenery is amazing. Every scene is shot amazingly. It's shot so well. The scenes on the train, the fight scenes. The scene on the train, shot well. All the fight scenes, shot well. The scene where Bond first meets the villain Silva, shot well. Now, there is that one scene where it makes it kind of look like Bond might be gay. Yeah, I don't care. That's still shot well. And Bond's just like, oh, you're trying to make me look homo. Well, I'm gonna make you look homo now. Yeah, yeah. I have no more further comments on that scene. Anyway, the other train scene, shot well. There are a lot of trains in this film. The final battle at Skyfall, shot well. Every part of the scenery in this film is just put together amazingly. So, I give scenery a star. What'd you think I was gonna do? Follow-up. Okay, you know this follows up Quantum. What do you think I'm gonna give this? Star. But before I continue, I would like to state this. And this can kind of tie into story too. This film, if I'm gonna nitpick anything, it's this. It's the timeline. So, we started with Dr. No. Went all the way up to License to Kill with a male M. Then in GoldenEye, we had a female M. And that went all the way to SkyFall. Having that said, considering Casino Royale is technically Bond's first mission, that would imply that you put it at the beginning of the missions. Which would imply that considering there's a female M in Casino Royale, that all the ones with Judi Dench in there would go before Dr. No. Simple right now, so it would go Casino Royale, Quantum, and then where do you go from there? Well, considering M mentions the fact that Bond is a old dinosaur of the Cold War in GoldenEye, it doesn't fit well because it just doesn't fit the best due to the fact that after Skyfall, that it would have to go like this. Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Goldfinger, Tomorrow Never Dies, Die Another Day. Casino, Quantum, GoldenEye, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, and that would be Skyfall. And then after Skyfall, it's really heavily put in the story that after Skyfall, it would imply that Dr. No comes after that. But M mentions in GoldenEye, that's after the Cold War, when Dr. No takes place in the Cold War. So there's a rupture in the timeline there. There's also a rupture due to the fact that Skyfall is technically supposed to be the film before Dr. No, but yet Skyfall has technology that is more advanced than in Dr. No. I can understand what they were trying to do with the rebooting, but for Skyfall, I think it would have been yeah, there's plot points where it doesn't work. I think what they should have done is taken M out of Casino and Quantum, and then put her back in Skyfall. That would make a little more sense, I think. Of course, technically, there's Die Another Day, which would imply you'd have to explain what happened to the old Q that was there, who was awesome. Other than that, but screwed up timeline aside, it still easily beats Quantum of Solace, Skyfall does, so star. Simple. Moving on to theme music. My god, that is an amazing song. When I first heard Adele was gonna do it, I was thinking, whoa, well that's a curveball, but when I heard it for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, I need this on my iPod right now. I'm going to go to iTunes and purchase this song because how amazing it is. It's that amazing, folks. I mean, it just works so well with this film. It just works so well. I mean, it just sounds amazing. It's so haunting. It's like, it's one of my personal favorites. It just does so well. I give theme song a star, if you hadn't guessed that by now. Finally, characters. Daniel Craig does well as Bond, and I think this is the best film Daniel Craig has had so far. He did okay in Casino, and he tried in Quantum, so it's 2-1. Daniel Craig's winning right now, which is good. Bond girls. This film is so original because while you could argue that M is the Bond girl in this one, it doesn't matter anyway. I'm not sure if I should drop major spoiler bombs. I'm gonna try not to. But, yeah, there is a couple of Bond girls that... There's at least one Bond girl that dies in here. So through the majority of the film, there isn't a Bond girl. Again, I'm not really counting M as the Bond girl, because M is more of just M. M's not really the Bond girl here. So the Bond girl's just there for a couple of minutes, and then she's, boom, dead. That is original, Skyfall. Usually I would complain about that, but that is original. No other Bond film has really necessarily done that. Okay, Goldfinger did that, but Goldfinger still had a Bond girl at the end. Caught myself there. This film reintroduced Q Branch. Thank you. I've been missing that for 2 films. They also reintroduced Moneypenny as a black woman. While we're on that topic, I'm not really opposed to it. I'm just more confused. Because again, with the timeline, Skyfall is supposed to take place before Dr. No. In Dr. No, Moneypenny is white. In Skyfall, Moneypenny is black. Well, how the heck did that happen? I don't know. I think they could have dealt with a couple of things, or maybe not make it seem like, oh, hey, this takes place before Dr. No. And maybe in the next Bond film, which I think, it's in November. I'm not sure which year, but it's in November it's being released. I think they'll explain and maybe fix up that timeline, and then when that movie comes out, I will be hopefully awaiting it, and hopefully it's awesome as this one. But despite that, I don't really care about the fact that she's black. I just am more confused at, if you're gonna make it that Dr. No is afterwards, how does that work? I mean, it's just kind of weird. You reintroduced them, though, so you did good, Skyfall. You did good there. Henchmen, there weren't any henchmen in this film, actually. There were, like, lackeys that get killed off easily, so... Yeah, there weren't really any henchmen in this film. I actually didn't care about that. Okay, I cared a little, but I didn't care that much because the villain, Silva, is an amazing Bond villain. Despite the fact that he's completely plain, and despite the fact that he has, like, cyanide in his mouth, and his mouth is almost completely butchered, like, his teeth are all gone, other than that, he's a pretty normal person, and I still like him. He does a great job as a Bond villain. And during the final conflicts with Bond, it just works really well. And also Bond has a little bit of help from that one guy who's in Skyfall, and yeah, that guy does well. But anyway, back to the villain. Now, his plan is a little confusing, but it works for me. It really does. Despite the fact that there are loopholes in that plan, I don't question it because it's awesome. So yeah, I give characters a star because they just do so well in this film. They learned from their mistakes in the last film. Star. So all in all, I give Skyfall a 10 out of 10. That's how we're ending it, folks. 10 out of 10. And can you really blame me? This film was long awaited. Ever since Quantum of Solace, Bond fans are like, dude, you cannot end on that note. You cannot end on that. You keep doing more Bond films that are better than this. And this film delivered. Clearly, whoever worked on Quantum learned from their mistakes and they're like, okay, let's stay away from that and just go here and do this stuff and make it amazing. And they did. This film just works so well. It's just amazing. Every part of it is awesome. And if you haven't seen it yet, go see it now. Because if you don't, you are missing out. I've got nothing else to say. I'm done. Skyfall is amazing. So, this has been Solomon Pleasant, and next time, when we discuss Bond, well, you'll see. This has been Solomon Pleasant. Signing off.